Constellation Path, a journey beneath the stars. Welcome to Snooze Stories. Tonight, we're taking a gentle walk along a shimmering path of stars, where each step brings us deeper into relaxation and closer to peaceful sleep. The path begins. The evening air feels cool against your skin as you stand at the edge of an open field. The sun has just set, leaving behind a watercolor wash of deep purple and indigo that bleeds into the western horizon. You've come to this place specifically for its remoteness, its distance from the electric glow of civilization. Behind you, the nearest town sits 20 miles away, its lights barely visible as a faint amber haze on the horizon. You've chosen this location with care. Earlier in the week, you studied light pollution maps on your computer, watching as your finger traced across regions of blue and green, searching for those rare pockets of gray and black that indicated truly dark skies. This field sits within one of those precious zones, a place where the Bortle scale reads 1 or 2, where the night sky can reveal its full majesty without interference from artificial light. The field stretches before you, a vast expanse of wild grasses that rise to your knees. They've gone to seed now, their delicate heads swaying in the gentle breeze, creating a soft whisper that sounds almost like breathing. The ground beneath your feet feels solid and reassuring, the earth packed firm from countless seasons of growth and dormancy. You've worn comfortable shoes, knowing you'll be standing and walking for a while. And you've dressed in layers, because even summer nights grow cool when you're away from the warmth of walls and roofs. Above you, the sky is beginning its transformation. Already, the brightest stars are making their appearance. Venus hangs in the west, brilliant and steady, not twinkling like the true stars, but glowing with a constant planetary light. You notice Jupiter, too, its creamy luminescence unmistakable even in the lingering twilight. These planets were known to the ancients. Wanderers, they called them, because unlike the fixed stars, they moved through the heavens, following their own paths among the constellations. You stand still for a moment, simply breathing. The air carries the scent of dry grass and earth mixed with something wilder, something that speaks of open spaces and freedom. A lone bird calls out from somewhere in the distance, its song clear and pure in the quiet evening. You can hear your own breath, slow and steady, matching the rhythm of the night itself. This is the beginning of what astronomers call the blue hour, though by now it's transitioning into true darkness. The blue hour occurs when the sun has dipped below the horizon, but its light still illuminates the upper atmosphere, creating that distinctive deep blue that seems to hold all the mysteries of space within it. But now, minute by minute, even that blue is fading, giving way to the infinite black of deep night. As your eyes continue to adjust, more stars appear. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They don't pop into existence all at once. Instead, they emerge gradually, like shy creatures coming out of hiding. The human eye needs approximately 45 minutes to fully adapt to darkness, your pupils dilating to let in as much light as possible, your rod cells becoming increasingly sensitive to the faint photons that have traveled across vast gulfs of space to reach you here. You've left your phone in your pocket, deliberately choosing not to check it. The bright white screen would destroy your night vision in an instant, forcing you to start the adjustment process all over again. Instead, you've brought only what you need: a dim red flashlight tucked into your jacket pocket, and a planisphere, one of those rotating star charts that helps identify constellations. But for now, you don't need either. For now, you simply stand and watch as the universe reveals itself. The Milky Way begins to appear. At first, it's just a suggestion, a subtle brightening in the sky that you might mistake for a cloud if you didn't know better. But as the darkness deepens, it becomes unmistakable. A river of light stretches from one horizon to the other, passing directly overhead. This is your home galaxy, viewed from within, and seeing it like this, in all its glory, never fails to inspire a profound wonder. You're looking at light from billions of stars, so distant that they blur together into a continuous glow. Dust lanes create dark patches within the luminous band, giving it texture and depth. These aren't actually dark, of course. They're dense clouds of cosmic dust and gas that block the light of the stars behind them. Within these clouds, new stars are being born even now, though their light won't reach Earth for millions of years. The ancient Greeks called it Galaxias Kyklos, the Milky Circle. The Romans translated this to Via Lactea, the Milky Way. According to Greek mythology, the goddess Hera sprayed milk across the sky, creating this celestial river. Other cultures saw different things. Chinese astronomers called it the Silver River. In parts of Africa, it's known as the backbone of night. To the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, it's the path of a great emu, its dark dust lanes forming the body of the bird against the bright stars. You start walking now, your feet finding their way through the tall grass without conscious thought. There's something deeply instinctive about this act of walking beneath the stars. Your ancestors did this for countless generations, navigating by the heavens, telling stories about the patterns they saw above them. The constellations were their maps, their calendars, their connection to the divine. The grass whispers around your legs with each step, and small insects leap out of your path, their bodies catching the faint starlight. A slight breeze moves across the field, bringing with it the scent of night-blooming flowers somewhere nearby. You realize that you're completely at ease. Your breathing slow and natural, your mind quiet in a way it rarely is during the day. Orion's territory. Your eyes have adjusted enough now that you can begin to make out specific constellations. In the eastern sky, rising steadily as Earth turns, you spot 3 stars in a nearly perfect line: Orion's belt. Even people who know nothing else about astronomy recognize those 3 stars: Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Their Arabic names speaking to the long tradition of Islamic astronomy that preserved and expanded upon the work of the Greeks during Europe's Dark Ages. Orion the Hunter is one of the most recognizable constellations in the entire sky, visible from nearly every inhabited place on Earth. Ancient Greek mythology tells us that Orion was a great hunter who boasted he could kill any animal on Earth. The goddess Artemis, impressed by his skills, fell in love with him. But her jealous brother Apollo tricked her into killing Orion with one of her arrows. Grief-stricken, Artemis placed Orion among the stars, where he hunts eternally across the heavens. You can see his form now, your eyes tracing the pattern. The belt forms his waist. Above it, 2 bright stars mark his shoulders: Betelgeuse to the upper left, burning with a distinctive reddish color, and Bellatrix to the upper right. Below the belt, 2 more stars define his legs. Hanging from his belt is his sword, marked by another line of fainter stars. If you had binoculars or a small telescope, you'd see that the middle star in the sword isn't a star at all, but the Orion Nebula, a vast cloud of gas and dust where new stars are being born even now, some 1,500 light-years away. Betelgeuse fascinates you. It's a red supergiant star, so massive that if it replaced our sun, its surface would extend beyond the orbit of Jupiter. It's also old by stellar standards, nearing the end of its life. Someday, in the astronomical near future, Betelgeuse will explode in a supernova. When that happens, it will briefly outshine the moon in our sky, visible even during the day. That explosion might have already happened, in fact. Betelgeuse is about 642 light-years away, which means the light you're seeing now left that star in the year 1383. If it exploded yesterday, you wouldn't know for another 642 years. This is the strange nature of astronomy. You're not seeing the universe as it is, but as it was. The light from those 3 belt stars left them approximately 1,200 years ago, when Charlemagne ruled much of Europe. The light from some of the fainter stars you can see left them when human beings were still living in small tribes, learning to control fire. You continue walking, and as you do, you notice how the act of moving feels meditative. Each step connects you to the earth, while your eyes remain lifted toward the heavens. It's a balancing act, quite literally, but one that feels natural and right. Your breathing has synchronized with your steps, creating a rhythm that feels as old as humanity itself. To Orion's right, you spot a bright reddish star. That's Aldebaran, the eye of Taurus the bull. Taurus is one of the zodiac constellations, one of the 12 that the sun appears to move through during the course of a year. The zodiac isn't just about astrology. These are genuine constellations that mark the ecliptic, the plane of Earth's orbit around the sun. The planets all follow this same plane, which is why you always find them within the band of the zodiac. Taurus appears in myths from many cultures. In Greek mythology, Zeus transformed himself into a magnificent white bull to abduct Europa, a Phoenician princess. He carried her across the sea to Crete, where she became queen. To the Babylonians, this constellation represented the bull of heaven, sent by the goddess Ishtar to destroy the hero Gilgamesh. Above Aldebaran, you can see a small cluster of stars that looks almost like a tiny dipper. This is the Hyades, one of the nearest open star clusters to Earth, just 153 light-years away. And further still, a tight grouping of stars catches your eye. The Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters. This cluster has fascinated humans since prehistoric times. Cave paintings in France from 15,000 years ago may depict the Pleiades. Most people can see 6 stars in the cluster with their naked eyes, though in truly dark skies, some people report seeing as many as 14. Through binoculars, the cluster reveals dozens of stars, all born from the same cloud of gas and dust about 100 million years ago. You're walking south now, following an impulse rather than a planned route. The grass has grown taller here, the ground slightly uneven, but you move carefully, confidently. There's enough starlight to see by once your eyes have adjusted. The Milky Way itself provides illumination, dim but real, casting the faintest of shadows. The ancient Polynesians navigated by stars like these. They didn't have compasses or sextants or GPS. Instead, they developed an intimate knowledge of the heavens that allowed them to sail across thousands of miles of open ocean, finding tiny islands in the vast Pacific. Master navigators like Mau Piailug from the island of Satawal memorized the rising and setting points of hundreds of stars. They used what's called a star compass, a mental construct that divides the horizon into 32 houses, each representing the place where specific stars or constellations rise and set. Nainoa Thompson, the first modern Polynesian to relearn this ancient art, developed the Hawaiian star compass based on Mau's teachings. The compass divides the sky into quadrants based on 4 cardinal points. Hikina marks the east, where celestial bodies arrive at the horizon. Kamohana marks the west, where they enter below the horizon. Between these points, specific stars occupy specific houses, and a navigator needs only to keep the canoe oriented toward the appropriate star to maintain course. But it wasn't just stars. Polynesian navigators also read ocean swells, which maintain constant directions based on prevailing winds. They watched for birds, knowing that certain species would fly out from land to feed during the day. They observed the color of the water, the types of floating debris, the shape and color of clouds, which can reveal the presence of land long before it's visible. They maintained a constant mental map of their position, always aware of distance traveled and current location. You think about this as you walk, imagining those ancient voyagers standing on the deck of their double-hulled canoes, the stars wheeling overhead, the gentle rock of the swells beneath them. What courage it must have taken to sail beyond sight of land, trusting in the stars and their knowledge. What profound connection to the natural world they must have felt. Looking up, you find the North Star, Polaris. It's not the brightest star in the sky, despite what many people think. It's actually only the 48th brightest star, but it holds a special place in navigation because of its location. Polaris sits almost directly above Earth's North Pole. As Earth rotates, all the other stars appear to circle around Polaris throughout the night. This makes it invaluable for navigation. If you can see Polaris, you know which direction is north. The height of Polaris above the horizon also tells you your latitude. At the equator, Polaris sits on the horizon. At the North Pole, it's directly overhead. To find Polaris, you use the Big Dipper. You've known this trick since childhood, but it still fills you with satisfaction. The Big Dipper isn't actually a constellation, it's an asterism, a recognizable pattern of stars within a larger constellation. In this case, the Big Dipper forms part of Ursa Major, the Great Bear. The two stars at the end of the Dipper's cup point directly toward Polaris. Follow that line about 5 times the distance between those two pointer stars, and there's the North Star, steady and reliable. Ursa Major has its own mythology. According to Greek legend, the nymph Callisto caught the eye of Zeus. Hera, Zeus's wife, was jealous and transformed Callisto into a bear. Years later, Callisto's son, Arcas, was hunting in the forest and encountered a bear, not knowing it was his mother. Zeus intervened, transforming Arcas into a bear as well, and placing both mother and son in the sky as Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the Great Bear and the Little Bear. The constellation looks different to different cultures, though. Some Native American tribes see 3 hunters pursuing a bear, with the bowl of the Dipper forming the bear's body and the handle representing the hunters. To the ancient Chinese, these stars formed part of the purple forbidden enclosure, the palace of the celestial emperor. The Summer Triangle. Your path has brought you to a slight rise in the land. The grass is shorter here, perhaps because the wind is stronger, preventing the tallest growth. You pause, turning slowly in a full circle, taking in the entire sky. The Milky Way stretches from horizon to horizon, but now you notice 3 particularly bright stars that form a large triangle high overhead. This is the Summer Triangle, another asterism, made up of stars from 3 different constellations. The first and brightest is Vega, in the constellation Lyra. Vega is the 5th brightest star in the entire night sky, and it's relatively close to us, just 25 light-years away. In about 12,000 years, due to the wobble in Earth's axis called precession, Vega will be our North Star instead of Polaris. Lyra represents the lyre of Orpheus, the legendary musician whose songs could charm even the stones. When Orpheus died, Zeus placed his lyre among the stars. The second star in the triangle is Deneb, part of Cygnus, the swan. Deneb is an absolute giant, a blue-white supergiant that's one of the most luminous stars known. It's incredibly far away, somewhere between 1,500 and 2,600 light-years distant. The uncertainty in that distance tells you something about the challenges of astronomical measurement. Even with all our technology, the universe keeps some secrets. Cygnus appears as a cross of stars, which is why it's sometimes called the Northern Cross. In mythology, Cygnus represents the swan into which Zeus transformed himself for one of his many romantic pursuits. The third star is Altair in Aquila, the eagle. Altair is notable for spinning very fast, completing one rotation in 9 hours. This rapid spin causes it to bulge at its equator, making it wider than it is tall. In Greek mythology, Aquila was the eagle that carried Zeus's thunderbolts. But there's a more romantic story from Chinese and Japanese mythology. Altair represents a cowherd named Hikoboshi, while Vega represents a weaver named Orihime. The two fell in love, but became so distracted by their romance that they neglected their duties. As punishment, they were separated by the river of the Milky Way, allowed to meet only once a year on the 7th day of the 7th month. You can see the Milky Way passing between Vega and Altair, and the story suddenly makes perfect sense. The celestial river really does separate them. On that one night each year, according to legend, a bridge of magpies forms across the river, allowing the lovers to reunite.
These stories, from cultures separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, all attempting to explain the same lights in the sky. It speaks to something fundamental about human nature, this need to create narrative, to find meaning in the patterns we observe. The stars don't actually form the shapes we see. The Great Bear doesn't look like a bear. Orion doesn't look like a hunter. The constellations are just our way of organizing the random distribution of stars, creating order from chaos, finding stories in the darkness. But what beautiful stories they are.
The zodiac's path. You continue walking, and as you do, your mind grows quieter. The constant chatter that usually fills your thoughts has faded, replaced by a calm awareness of the present moment. The night air on your skin, the whisper of grass, the overwhelming presence of the stars above. This is what the astronomers mean when they talk about the healing power of dark skies. It's not just about seeing more stars, it's about this feeling of connection, of perspective, of understanding your place in the vastness of existence. The zodiac stretches before you across the southern sky. These 12 constellations mark the path the sun takes through the sky over the course of a year. The word zodiac comes from the Greek zodiakos, meaning circle of little animals, because most of the zodiac constellations represent animals. You can see Scorpius low on the southern horizon, its distinctive curved tail of stars giving it away immediately. This is the scorpion that killed Orion in mythology. The two constellations are placed on opposite sides of the sky, Orion setting as Scorpius rises, so they never appear together. Even in death, even transformed into stars, the hunter and the scorpion remain separated. Scorpius contains the red supergiant Antares, whose name means rival of Mars because of its similar reddish color. Like Betelgeuse in Orion, Antares is nearing the end of its life and will eventually explode as a supernova. When that happens, the constellation will lose its heart. For now, though, Antares glows with a deep ruby light, easily visible despite the brightness of the Milky Way passing right through Scorpius. Next to Scorpius is Sagittarius, one of the most important constellations for Milky Way viewing. When you look at Sagittarius, you're looking toward the center of our galaxy, toward the supermassive black hole called Sagittarius A star that lurks there, 4 million times the mass of our sun. You can't see the black hole, of course. By definition, black holes emit no light, but you can see the effect it has on its surroundings, the way matter swirls around it, the way stars orbit it in their swift, dangerous dance. The constellation Sagittarius is supposed to represent a centaur, a creature that's half human and half horse, drawing back a bow to shoot an arrow. You honestly have trouble seeing it, even now that you're practiced at constellation spotting. But there's a smaller asterism within Sagittarius that's much easier to recognize: the teapot. 8 stars form the distinct shape of a teapot, complete with a spout, a handle, and a lid. And if you let your imagination flow, the Milky Way appears to be steam rising from the spout. Above Sagittarius, you can make out Aquila the eagle, which you noticed earlier as part of the summer triangle. And above that, the small but distinctive pentagon of Delphinus, the dolphin. Delphinus is one of the smallest constellations, but it's easy to spot because of its shape. Greek mythology says this dolphin saved the poet Arion from drowning. In gratitude, the gods placed the dolphin among the stars. Light across the millennia. You've been walking for a while now, though you've lost track of exactly how long. Time feels different under the stars. Minutes and hours become less important. What matters is the journey, the experience, the slow unwinding of tension from your shoulders and back, the gradual quieting of your mind. The grass has given way to a small clearing, and you decide to lie down. The ground is cool but not cold, and surprisingly comfortable. You stretch out on your back, hands behind your head, looking straight up into the heart of the Milky Way. From this position, the illusion of looking up into a vast dome disappears.
Instead, you feel like you're looking out into deep space, as if you're lying on a flat surface that extends forever in all directions, and the stars surround you in 3 dimensions. It's a dizzying feeling, but a good one. You're intensely aware that you are on a planet, a sphere of rock and metal covered with a thin film of water and air, spinning through space at over 1,000 miles per hour while simultaneously orbiting the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. The sun itself is moving, orbiting the center of the Milky Way at 500,000 miles per hour. And the Milky Way is moving too, pulled by the gravity of other galaxies in our local group, all of us falling through space together. But lying here, feeling the solidity of the Earth beneath you, watching the slow procession of stars overhead, none of that motion is apparent. Everything feels perfectly still, perfectly peaceful. You think about the light that's reaching your eyes right now. That light from Vega left the star when you were a child. The light from Deneb left when the Roman Empire still ruled Europe. The light from the stars in the Andromeda galaxy, which you might be able to see as a faint smudge if you look in the right place at the right time, left that galaxy when our ancestors were learning to walk upright on the plains of Africa. You are looking at ancient light, at messages from the past. Every photon that enters your eye has traveled across unimaginable distances, survived the vast emptiness of space, threaded its way through Earth's atmosphere just to end its journey on your retina. You are the universe observing itself, made of atoms that were forged in the hearts of stars, now conscious and aware, capable of looking up and understanding, at least in part, what you're seeing. The thought should be overwhelming, but instead, it's comforting. You're part of something vast and ancient and ongoing. The same carbon atoms in your body once resided in different stars. The same iron in your blood was created in a supernova explosion billions of years ago. You are literally made of stardust, as the astronomer Carl Sagan liked to say. Not metaphorically, literally. The heavy elements that make up your body can only be created in the extreme conditions of stellar interiors or supernova explosions.
The circumpolar stars. Your eyes drift northward, toward Polaris and the circumpolar constellations. These are the stars that never set, at least not from this latitude. They circle endlessly around the celestial pole, visible every night of the year if the sky is clear. Cassiopeia sits opposite the Big Dipper, on the other side of Polaris. It's easy to recognize because it forms a distinctive W or M shape, depending on its orientation. In Greek mythology, Cassiopeia was a vain queen who boasted that she was more beautiful than the Nereids, the sea nymphs. As punishment for her hubris, Poseidon sent a sea monster to ravage her kingdom. To appease the monster, Cassiopeia and her husband chained their daughter Andromeda to a rock as a sacrifice. The hero Perseus rescued Andromeda, and eventually all of them were placed among the stars. Cassiopeia destined to circle the celestial pole, sometimes sitting on her throne, and sometimes hanging upside down in humiliation. Between Cassiopeia and the Big Dipper, you can make out the long, winding form of Draco, the dragon. This constellation doesn't have any particularly bright stars, but once you find it, the shape is unmistakable. In Greek mythology, Draco represents the dragon Ladon, who guarded the golden apples in the garden of the Hesperides. Heracles killed the dragon as one of his 12 labors, and Hera placed it in the sky. These circumpolar constellations were particularly important to ancient navigators. Because they're always visible, they provide constant reference points. The ancient Egyptians aligned their pyramids with these stars. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with incredible precision, less than 1/15th of a degree off. This alignment was probably achieved by observing the circumpolar stars and finding the exact point around which they rotate. Deeper into the night. You've been lying here for perhaps 20 minutes, maybe longer. Your body has completely relaxed into the ground. Your breathing is slow and deep and automatic.
Your mind has entered that state between waking and sleeping, where thoughts drift like clouds, present but not demanding attention. The sky has continued to change while you've been lying here. The stars have moved, their apparent motion caused by Earth's rotation. Orion has climbed higher in the east. The summer triangle has shifted westward. The whole celestial sphere has rotated, this great cosmic clockwork that has marked the passage of time since the first humans looked up in wonder. You notice things you missed before. A satellite passes overhead, its reflected sunlight making it look like a moving star. It takes perhaps 30 seconds to traverse from horizon to horizon, completely silent, impossibly fast. It's probably one of the communications satellites that orbit Earth at an altitude of about 500 miles, though it could be the International Space Station, which is easier to see because it's larger and more reflective. A few minutes later, you see a shooting star, a brief streak of light that appears and disappears in less than a second. A meteor, more accurately. A grain of dust, often no bigger than a grain of sand, burning up as it hits Earth's atmosphere at tens of thousands of miles per hour. The light you saw wasn't the particle itself, but the air around it, heated to incandescence by friction. If you're lucky enough to visit during one of the major meteor showers, you might see dozens or even hundreds of these in an hour. The Perseids in August, the Geminis in December, the Quadrantids in January. These showers occur when Earth passes through the debris trail left by a comet. The meteors all appear to radiate from a specific point in the sky, which is how the showers get their names. The Perseids appear to come from the constellation Perseus. The Geminis from Gemini, where light meets dark. Your mind drifts to the concept of dark sky reserves, those special places where communities have made a commitment to reduce light pollution and preserve the natural night. The International Dark Sky Association has certified over 200 such places around the world, from parks to entire islands. Aoraki Mackenzie in New Zealand, the Greater Big Bend region spanning Texas and Mexico, Cherry Springs State Park in Pennsylvania, the Brecon Beacons in Wales. These places recognize that dark skies aren't just for astronomy, they're important for wildlife too. Many species depend on natural patterns of darkness. Migrating birds use the stars for navigation. Sea turtle hatchlings use the moonlight to find their way to the ocean. Nocturnal pollinators need darkness to function properly. Even trees and plants have circadian rhythms that are disrupted by artificial light. And for humans, the loss of darkness represents a loss of connection to something ancient and fundamental. For the vast majority of human history, people lived under dark skies. They saw the Milky Way every clear night. They knew the constellations intimately, used them for navigation, agriculture, and keeping time. They told stories about them, created meaning from them, felt their place in the cosmos through them. Now, 80% of people in the United States and 30% of people worldwide live under skies so polluted by light that they can't see the Milky Way. An entire generation is growing up without ever seeing the full glory of the night sky. They see the moon, certainly, and a handful of the brightest stars. But they don't see the river of light stretching from horizon to horizon. They don't see the delicate glow of the zodiacal light or the Gegenschein. They don't see the dark nebulae or the star clusters or the subtle variations in starlight that speak of distances beyond human comprehension. Something is lost when we lose the darkness. Some connection to wonder, to mystery, to the sublime experience of confronting our smallness in the face of the infinite. You feel grateful to be here, in this dark field, under these brilliant stars. The hour before dawn. You must have dozed off for a while, because when you open your eyes again, the sky has changed significantly. Orion is high overhead now, reaching his zenith. The summer triangle has moved toward the western horizon. and in the east, you can see the unmistakable form of Leo the lion beginning to rise. Leo is one of the oldest constellations, recognized by virtually every culture that practiced astronomy. To the ancient Mesopotamians, it represented the lion. To the Greeks, it was the Nemean lion killed by Heracles. To the Egyptians, it was connected to the annual flooding of the Nile, which occurred when the sun was in Leo. The brightest star in Leo is Regulus, whose name means little king in Latin. The ancient Persians considered Regulus one of the 4 royal stars, guardians of the heavens. You can see the backwards question mark that forms the lion's head and mane, with Regulus marking the bottom of the question mark. The shape is called the sickle, another asterism. The rest of Leo's body extends to the east, forming a triangle of stars that represents the lion's hindquarters. Above Leo, you spot another planet, Mars, the red planet, currently in the constellation of Gemini. Mars is distinctive because of its color, a definite rusty red caused by iron oxide, rust, in its soil. The ancient Romans associated it with war because of this blood-like color, naming it after their god of war. But many cultures saw Mars as significant. The Chinese called it the fire star. The Hindus named it Mangala. The ancient Greeks called it Aries. The sky is beginning to brighten very subtly in the east now. It's probably around 5 in the morning. Dawn is still more than an hour away, but the first hints of its approach are becoming visible. The very brightest stars remain visible, but the fainter ones are starting to disappear, washed out by the growing light. You sit up slowly, feeling slightly stiff from lying on the ground for so long, but deeply refreshed. Your mind feels clear and quiet. The anxiety and stress that you carried with you into this field have dissipated, dissolved by darkness and starlight and the perspective that comes from spending time under the infinite sky. You stand and begin walking back the way you came, though the path looks different now with the stars in their new positions. Your body knows the way though. Your feet find the route automatically, avoiding the rougher patches, following the slight depression in the grass that marks where you walked before. As you walk, you think about all the people throughout history who have looked at these same stars. The ancient Babylonians creating the first star catalogs over 3,000 years ago. The Greeks developing the concept of constellations and weaving them into their mythology. The Islamic astronomers of the Middle Ages preserving and expanding on Greek knowledge while Europe stumbled through the Dark Ages. The Chinese independently developing their own system of constellations and celestial mechanics. The Polynesian navigators using the stars to colonize a third of the Earth's surface. The Maya precisely tracking the movements of planets and predicting eclipses with remarkable accuracy. All of them looked at these same stars, saw these same patterns, felt the same sense of awe. The constellations have barely changed in the time humans have been observing them. The stars are so far away that even their tremendous velocities through space translate to almost imperceptible movements from our perspective. The Big Dipper looked essentially the same to the ancient Egyptians as it does to you tonight. There's something profoundly connecting about this shared experience across time. You are part of an unbroken chain of humans looking up, wondering, trying to understand. The tools have changed. We have telescopes now, and spectroscopy, and radio astronomy. We can measure distances to stars with increasing precision. We understand nuclear fusion and stellar evolution. We can predict the future of the universe billions of years hence, but the essential experience remains the same. A human being standing under the night sky, feeling small and connected and amazed. Your path has brought you back to your starting point, the place where you first stood as twilight faded into night. The eastern sky is definitely brighter now, showing the first pale hints of dawn. The brightest stars hang on, Sirius and Vega and Capella, but most of the fainter stars have vanished. The Milky Way has faded to invisibility. The night is giving way to day,
as it has done since Earth first formed 4.5 billion years ago, as it will continue to do long after the last human has looked up in wonder. But the stars remain, hidden by daylight, but still there, still burning, still sending their light across the vast distances of space. They'll return tonight and tomorrow night and every night after that. The constellations will continue their slow wheel across the sky. Orion will hunt, Scorpius will threaten, the Great Bear will circle the pole. The stories will continue, passed down from generation to generation, changing in details but remaining fundamentally the same. Coming home. Your breathing is deep and even. Your mind is clear. Your body feels loose and relaxed, ready for sleep. The walk has been exactly what you needed. This time under the stars, this connection to something larger than yourself. As the first birds begin their morning song and the sky continues to brighten, you feel a profound sense of peace. The stars have reminded you of your place in the universe. Not an unimportant place. You matter. Your life matters. As our journey together comes to an end tonight, I hope these stories brought you a sense of peace. If you enjoyed your time here at Snooze Stories, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our sleepy community. It truly helps us keep the magic alive. Until next time, sleep well and sweet dreams.